Well, welcome everyone to the Owner Origins podcast. And today we got a great guest, Mr. Jim Dutton of Due West Services. Jim, welcome on.
Appreciate it, Steve. Thank you.
So to kick things off and let everybody know kind of who you are and what you do, tell everybody about, about Due West Services, or really all the companies that you have right now.
Well, Due West Services is started as Due West Construction, Inc., and basically we started as a general contractor, ended up specializing in foundation repair. Then down the road we added plumbing, air conditioning, we do concrete work, retaining walls, and just a lot of different services to keep not only homes but businesses going.
Yep, absolutely. And Texas Home Improvement?
Well, that's a different entity. Texas Home Improvement was something I ended up doing accidentally. It's a radio show, or started as a radio show. It's really more than that now as well, because I was at a radio station, little Christian station, doing an interview for foundation repair. And I was talking about all the work I was doing on my house during the commercial breaks.
Yeah.
And the guy says, "Oh man, we need to do a home improvement show on this station. Would you like to come in and do it?" I said, "Absolutely not."
Yeah.
I'm not giving up every weekend to do that. Well, after about 6 months of hounding me, I said, "Okay, I'll come in, I'll do 1 hour, then I go home and I'm done." 1 hour went to 2 hours, 2 hours went to 3, then it went to a bigger station, then I had multiple stations picking it up, and before I knew it, I was doing 7 hours a weekend.
Wow.
And I did finally cut it back after several years of doing that to 5 hours a weekend.
But you're on every weekend now, right?
Now I'm syndicated every weekend in Houston, Dallas, Austin. I do a television show as well, weekly podcast. So I get into doing a lot of different things. And somewhere I lost that concept of it wasn't going to eat up my weekend.
Exactly. That's great. Well, that's probably pretty typical, right?
Yeah. But it's fun.
Yeah, as I say, especially when you do something that you're enjoying.
Yeah.
Things like that. So, and I'll never forget the time I was at one of the very first home improvement events in Houston, and I'd gotten to know you, and then you had mentioned, "Hey, are you going to the I forgot, the Houston Home and Garden Show or something like that?" This is years ago, over 10 years ago. And you're like, "Yeah, I'll be there. Due West will have a booth, but I'll have THI, Texas Home Improvement, will be there." And I'm thinking, great. And so as I'm walking through the aisles and looking at stuff, I see the Due West in the background. I'm coming around the corner, and then I see you, and you're set aside. I think it was in a glass booth or something enclosure.
I have a little house that I take out.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I look, and all you have is a table and a microphone, and you're just talking.
Yeah.
And then when you got a break and you came over to talk to me, I went, "So where's your notes? Where's the computer where you look up things?" You're like, "Oh, nope, all in my head."
Everything's got to come out of your head because it's moving too fast. You're taking live calls on the air, and I actually have my call screener. I tell them, don't bother telling me what the question is.
Yeah.
All I want is the name and what city they're calling from. And that's what keeps it interesting and fun, because I never know what the next question's going to be.
Say, that's good. That's good. Okay, well, Jim, I tell you what. So, what was it like growing up in the Dutton household back in the day when you were a kid?
It's a funny thing, because I will say on the radio all the time when I have people asking how to get something done, I said, "Well, I believe in child labor. Don't you have kids?" My parents absolutely believed in child labor.
Absolutely. I know the feeling.
They had a lot of rent houses and things like that. And that's actually where I started doing home improvement stuff, was maintaining those units and building them. And I can remember the very first project I did was turning horse and buggy stalls into efficiency apartments.
Really?
I was 14 years old. Dad had gotten rid of the carpenter who was doing it, and I was the helper, and he says, "Well, you got to finish it. I got to go to work." So in the summer, he would get me up. He'd get me up at 5 o'clock. He'd go drop me off. I didn't even have a driver's license.
Yeah.
I'm there to work. He'd go do his job, and I tease him about it, but I tell him if I was lucky, you'd remember to come get me for lunch.
Oh my goodness.
Now, it wasn't that bad.
No,
but
I know.
that's working, having to do that stuff. And then I got into doing the maintenance and stuff like that with my mom,
Okay.
because she would go, like if a unit came up empty, a house or apartment or whatever, she would go in, do all the cleaning and help me on fixing them up.
Yep.
And so when I'm answering those questions off the top of my head, it's from practical experience. It's not what I watched on a video.
Yeah, and those are the kind of things you're not going to forget. 'Cause
Right.
You didn't read it in a book. You
Yeah.
actually did it.
And the fun thing about it is you get the call, they're asking the question, and in my mind, I'm visualizing what they're talking about.
Yeah.
I just get this picture like you're almost like you're dreaming.
Yeah.
You see that picture, and as the story develops when you're talking with them, the picture changes.
Yep.
And it's I really like taking the live calls versus email questions.
Well, and yeah, because you're having interaction with them, right?
Yeah.
And they're updating you as you go. Because I always hear you a lot of times where you'll say, well, does it have this or does it have that? Is it this kind of wiring or that kind of, and then as they're filling in those blanks, then you're like, okay, well, if that's the case, then it was built between these years and they probably did this that way, and this is what you're, it's really
Yeah.
impressive. So what was your mom and dad like? So your dad was going to work. Did he work for a company or did he have his own business at that time?
Well, back then, he had his own. He worked for a company called Lamedi and Sons,
Okay.
and realistically, we started in Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
He got transferred to Florida.
Okay.
From Florida, he got transferred here to Texas, and then they were going to transfer him back to Minnesota.
Yeah.
And he'd worked for this contractor for 17 years, and I was in high school. My brother was in high school. My sister was not in high school yet, but obviously in school. And he said, "No, I can't do that again. I'm getting off here." And that was in 1978,
Okay.
and that's when we started Due West.
And how old were you when he started Due West?
I would have been 17.
Okay. Okay.
16, actually, 16.
So you were doing the rent houses at 14. They had rent houses, I guess, in Florida and other places, or he was already here?
We were already
Yeah.
here.
Okay. Okay. And so, yeah. And so your dad, what do you know or recollect about him making that decision and all that? And were you a witness of the conversations with your mom and dad and everything?
Well, it was kind of a family discussion, because quite frankly, when we all left Minnesota, we all missed it.
Yeah.
And really wanted to go back. But what really changed our minds was actually when we were still living in Florida. My grandparents had their 45th wedding anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
So we all got in the car, drove up in July for the wedding anniversary, and froze our butts off.
Yeah.
And that was the end. We said, "No, I ain't coming back to this."
Yeah, good point. Yeah, my dad's from Connecticut. Same thing. Never going back and shoveling snow.
No.
Yep. And so he knew he wasn't going back, and then the company's going back, so he's staying. And you're 16, 17 years old. What do you remember from that? What do you remember? Did you remember them collaborating and talking about making that decision, or did you even know what was going on?
Oh, yeah. I was always listening and butting in.
Yeah.
So the way that conversation went was he was looking for what he would do here.
Mm-hmm.
And actually over off Beltway 8, it's now a dump.
Mm-hmm.
There was an old dirt pit.
Okay.
And him and a partner named West got the rights to keep digging that dirt pit.
Yeah.
And that's how Due West started. It was actually a contractor with dump trucks, drag line, hauling dirt out for building houses and stuff like that.
Really?
Yeah.
And how long did West stay in the business for?
Oh, not very long. That lasted maybe 60 days or so.
Really? So the name stays on there. But...
Well, and the way that happened was Dad showed up at the dirt pit one day, and the drag line was just swinging around and looking real, something wasn't right. He goes down there, and Mr. West was drunker than a skunk,
Oh, so,
loading other people's trucks.
oh,
And Dad's, yeah, we ain't doing this. And so he sat down, obviously after the guy was sober, and they had a conversation that they're going to split up. Dad financed the drag line for him and kept the name. Who knew it was going to last this long?
yeah, really.
I mean, but that's actually where the name came from. Is the DU is for Dutton. The West was his name, and but a 60-day partnership split, and we kept the name, and he got the dirt pit.
Well, and so so you had the dirt pit, and how did things evolve from there? How did
Well, after that, Dad kept running dump trucks.
Yep.
I mean, we'd still get dirt there, and he'd go out and sell it. But then we started doing a lot of other things as well. We actually incorporated then and as a general contractor. And so when the dump trucks were running, I'd be doing maintenance on trucks at night after school, and sometimes I'd be at the shop working until 12 or 1 in the morning, then get up to go to school the next day. And I always knew I was going to be a contractor. I never had anything else that I desired to do.
Yep.
And so we would go out and do roofing jobs. We built shops for people, a lot of concrete work. I mean, we did all kinds of things. And then around 1982, we phased everything else out because Dad saw this little ad in this antique thing called a newspaper.
Yeah.
And he called about this ad that was talking about piling for doing foundation repair. And so he answered that ad. It was the engineer put it out. And it was a new way of doing foundation repair because it had always been drilled piers.
Yes.
And he was talking about using a press pile. Dad knew about press piles from doing the heavy construction jobs he had been doing.
Okay. And so that was familiar for him.
Yep.
And,
And so he just scaled it down, and we developed the installation process for what's now the common way of doing foundation repair.
okay. Okay. Wow. And so so he saw an opportunity there, had a familiarity with it, and so this guy was just selling or making available the pilings, and he figured out a way to install.
He wasn't even doing that. He was just giving you the concept of how it would work. They were using hand jacks to put it in.
Yeah.
And when I was in high school, I worked in vocational office education.
Okay.
I had a job in a bank.
Okay.
And as I finished high school, I went from being a bank teller to a vault teller. So I worked inside the vault. And that was around the same time because I would part-time work at Due West and full-time at the bank. And we had a really bad storm come through. I mean, tornadoes, trees being knocked over, all this stuff. And I knew nothing of it in that vault.
Oh, really? The whole.
And I did not like that one bit. And I literally the next day gave my 2 weeks notice
Really?
and went back out into the field.
You did not want to be isolated in a place like that.
No.
Yeah.
And so there was 2 things that happened on that first job I went out on. And it wasn't the first job I had been on, but previous when I would go out and help, all I was doing was digging holes. While we were driving the pilings and doing it the way the engineer set up with the hand jacks. And I said, oh my God, this is terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, you had to pump that handle 300 times to put one cylinder in the ground.
Oh, geez.
Took forever. And, my dad and my brother had been testing some other equipment. I said, guys, we got to do something else. And so we brought the equipment out, made a decision, went with an electric over hydraulic unit, and that really made the job a whole lot easier, sped things up quite a bit. But the other thing I ended up doing on that same job was a pipe underneath broke.
Okay.
It was dumping water into our holes. And I get out there, and Dad hands me a military trenching shovel, a rain suit, and he says, "Find the leak."
Oh my goodness.
And I said, "Well, yeah, but there's water running in there. Can't we at least ask them to shut the water off?" "Well, we can't inconvenience them like that." And so he had me digging out looking for a sewer line leak while it was still being used.
Oh my good. Talk about trial by fire.
Now, yeah, you're coming out of a cushy bank vault job and going down digging in the mud. Look,
And not very clean mud at that, right?
unfortunately, it was a kitchen sink.
Okay,
so.
good deal. And wow, yeah. I mean, I guess that's a real testament as to whether you're going to be cut out for this or not, right?
Yeah.
Going back a little bit in terms of you, as your dad is starting his own business, what's your mom doing at that point, and what's her role?
Well, Mom was always a housewife,
Yeah.
and she took care of the rental properties and all that stuff. And quite frankly, if it wasn't for her, there would be no Due West, because the rent houses, the rent properties is what funded and had kept Due West going through all the rough years.
Yeah. And so, okay, so yeah, because like you were saying, she would if a unit came up, she would go out there,
Yep.
and take you or you can tell me about your siblings. So obviously, Kenny, younger brother, your sister. What was the dynamics like there? What were y'all like growing up?
Well, yeah, Kenny's 13 months younger than me. Sandy, my sister's 3 years younger than me.
Mm-hmm.
So two guys of basically the same age would fight like heck.
Yep.
And he beat me up all the time.
Yeah, really.
There was no two ways about that. Our sister, though, she was all tomboy and still lives out in the country on a farm
Yep.
as a tomboy.
Yep. And how different are you and Kenny from each other?
Night and day.
Yeah.
Kenny is very quiet, reserved, thinks about things a whole lot more than I do.
Yep.
And I'm just pushed through, let's get this done and
Yep.
get the hell out of my way.
Yep. Okay.
Blind.
And is that how your dad is? Are you like your dad or?
You could have gone all day without asking that. Yeah. I am very much like he was. We look identical. There was pictures hanging in the office that people think is my picture.
Yeah. Yep. And so is Kenny more like your mom? Is your mom more reserved? Or is he?
Mom's from Germany, right?
Yes.
Not a whole lot of reserve there.
Yeah, exactly. So he's the outlier.
He's the outlier. But when Kenny gets mad, he's not quiet.
The German comes out.
They got the red hair and German comes out.
Well, good deal. And so when you were working at the bank, had you already graduated high school at that point? Or?
I actually started in the bank while I was working going to high school.
That's right, the vocational.
Yeah,
program.
because
Sorry,
I would go to school half a day, work half a day,
Yep,
and
yep.
I would get in all kinds of trouble because I would skip school and go to work instead.
So you'd miss the school, and then they say, "Oh, you showed up at work."
Worse than that, I would go to work instead of school.
Yeah, oh.
The bank would say, they forget that I was high school. They always thought I was in college. I looked older than I was.
Yep.
And so they'd ask if I'd want to work these extra hours, and sure.
Yes, I'm here.
And so I would just skip school and go into work instead.
Wow. And so what was it about school and stuff? You just didn't want to sit still? You didn't want to
It moves so slow.
Yeah.
If you could go to school and do it at your own pace,
Yeah.
it probably would be fine. But for me, it always goes so slow, and my mind's going in 3 different directions,
Yep.
5 different directions
Yep.
at all times. So, and that's one of the reasons I like being in business, because I don't have to focus on just one thing and get that done.
There's a lot of things.
There's a
going on.
lot of things going.
Yep. And so you didn't go to college or anything like that?
Very little.
Yeah.
I actually went to college for specific courses for being in business myself. I took accounting courses and things like that so that I could take care of running the business the way it needed to be.
At what point growing up did you, and I don't know if you knew this early on with the family conversation, but that your dad was he was the boss now. He was the man in charge. Did you know that from the very beginning? Or when did you realize that? Like how?
When did that happen? I thought I was in charge.
Was there a point though when you were younger that you finally said, "Oh man, my dad, he's the owner. He is," or did
No, because I was already in high school when the business started.
Yeah. So
and realistically, I have always, even when he owned it, looked at it as my business as well.
Really?
That concept that it was just his, it didn't sink in. And it's kind of funny because my kids are in the business now as well, and doggone, they're trying to pull that same thing on me.
Really? You got to talk to them and say, wait, whose company is this?
Yeah.
And so you start you've obviously start getting involved once you start realizing school is not so much the thing. What was, so you were doing foundations at that time, and how was the business at that point, and what was it evolving to?
Well, yeah, I had already decided that when I was in high school that I was going to be a contractor.
Mm-hmm.
And quite frankly, that was before we had Due West.
Mm-hmm.
Then Due West came along, and that just created an avenue that I didn't have to do myself.
Mm-hmm.
As far as how the rest of it progressed, I mean, we never had any intention of being the size we are now.
Yeah.
It was to keep us busy. It started with, actually, Dad and Kenny was the first labor. I came in after Kenny, and
really
we started growing from that. And one day we looked up, and we've got 6 crews working for us, 36
Mm-hmm.
guys out in the field. We got a handful of people in the office, and we're saying, what
did this
the
come
heck
from?
happened?
Yeah.
And life becomes a whole lot more complicated then,
Yeah.
because no longer is it you're getting up, going to work to make money for yourself and your family. Now you got a whole lot of people who are dependent on you getting up and making sure they've got something to do as well.
Exactly. So you said Kenny started working with your dad first,
Yes.
but didn't he go into the military?
He went into the military later in life.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Kenny worked in the business for probably 6-7 years.
Okay.
And, when you're starting a business, it's hard.
Yeah.
And the owners typically don't get paid.
Mm-hmm.
The next ones who don't get paid are family members.
Yeah.
And so we hit a patch when we were kind of making transitions into other stuff where things were real tight, and Kenny's always wanted to be in the military.
Okay.
Even when he was in high school, he was in ROTC,
Yep.
in the Marines, ROTC, and wanted to join the Marine Corps. And so he got to a point where he says, if I don't do it now, I'm going to get too old.
Okay.
And so he went in as an older recruit.
So he must have been about, what, 23 years old, 24?
I think he was 24,
Yeah.
actually, when he went in.
Wow.
And the funny thing is, my second son did the same darn thing.
Really? Adam.
Yep.
And he did it that late?
That same exact. We went. The only difference was Adam had gone through 2 years of college. He was working for me as a superintendent, and he says, if I don't go in the military now, I won't get to. And so he went and left and came back as well.
Wow. And so what were you doing then so if you graduated, you're older by a year, you're graduating high school, what were you doing to where Kenny got into the business first, or did I misunderstand?
That's when I was working in the bank.
Okay, so then.
And so I was
that's
only
right.
working part-time. There wasn't enough to keep us all busy.
I see. So you spent some time at the bank, from that standpoint.
Yeah.
Before you then so then you realize you come back, your dad and Kenny are running things, and or at least they're the laborers, like you said. So what was the
Well, it didn't take Dad long to make me the second labor.
Yeah, oh, I'm sure. Yeah, absolutely. So and the business was doing okay, or I mean, what was your assessment when you came in? You're like, I'm not doing the bank. I know that's not my career path or what I want to do. These guys, my family's got a business. I'm going to come over here. How did that?
You know, when a business is small that way, it goes great because it's just depending on whatever you put in is what you get out.
Yep.
And so we were able to go out and build jobs. Dad would pull money out, buy more rental properties. So it was kind of a cycle. And then if you got into a really wet year where it's slow in the foundation business,
Yep.
sell off a couple of the rental properties to fund things. So it was good.
Talk about that. Talk about the fact that, for the foundation industry, what is it about the dry and the wet weather?
Well, what causes foundation problems is when the soils dry out, they shrink. When they get wet, they'll expand again, but not as much as they were the time before. So you get a period of years of going through those cycles, you get settlement. Most people notice it between 18 and 20 years.
Okay.
That's when it gets down to enough where it's probably moved about an inch and a half. So when we go through drought years, foundation repair companies are really busy. When you go through a wet year, you can't give it away.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean everything's settled back in more for the most part, right?
Well, the problem is still there, but what people see is the crack above the door, or the door starts working. The crack above the door starts to close, and they think, okay, it's gone as far as it's going to go.
Yep.
Well, that's not the case. It stopped because the soils got wet. The next time it gets dry, it's right back.
Or an even worse potential.
And it'll be worse.
But from a business standpoint, how does that deal with your...
Well, it's a beautiful thing because they're still building houses the same way today as they did 60 years ago. So
no change
20
in the
years from
foundation.
now, we're still going to be busy.
Yeah, and AI is not going to replace that, right?
Nope. And as far as I can tell, the robots haven't gotten good enough to dig the holes yet.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Well, watch it because Elon Musk, I think,
he's working on
he's
it.
working on it. Okay, so so now you've come in, you've joined them, and so you probably then I guess worked a few years with Kenny and your dad before he goes off to the Marines.
Yeah, we worked probably about 6 years or so, and then he goes in the Marine Corps for 4 years. He went to Desert Storm.
Yep.
And he came back with some health issues.
Yep.
He was in Kuwait before the ground war started on what was supposed to be a one-way mission.
Yeah.
So he's had a lot of times in his life where he wasn't supposed to be here anymore and still is.
Wow, that's something else. That's another conversation.
Yeah.
And so while he's gone, what's it like working with your dad now? And how was that received?
You remember that part a little while ago where we were talking about how we're the same?
Yeah. Oh,
we were butting heads like two rams hitting each other's horns. I mean,
and who's winning those battles?
Well, it was still his company at that time.
You just thought it was yours.
Yeah. I learned better, and I use some of those same terminologies with my sons. I still sign that check,
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. But what did you learn from that? What did you learn from that time period where, however it was being so? But and just to go back even a little bit more from the standpoint, so your dad and Kenny are working together. What was their relationship like compared to you butting heads?
Well, me and Kenny would butt heads sometimes too, but that's a different story.
Yeah.
But as far as with Dad, Kenny usually, whatever he said, would go.
Okay.
And especially after he got out of the military, because he followed the
hierarchy.
Yeah, chain of command meant something.
Yeah. Okay.
I was a little more hard-headed.
You were hard-headed. Your dad was wishing you went to the military.
Yeah. and so if I didn't agree with something, I would be very vocal.
Yeah.
And it was funny. The office people couldn't understand it. We could be in the back room arguing about something, tooth and nail, It's 11:45. You want to go get some lunch?
Yeah.
And we would go to
Go out
lunch.
to eat. Yeah.
We always kept it separate. The arguments with work versus personal family life.
Yeah. Okay. That's good. What did you learn from your dad as you were butting heads? Because obviously you're trying to grow and expand and feel like you have ideas that matter, and he's.
Well, I learned the same thing all good sons learn. I was right, he was wrong.
Let's go bring your dad into that.
Now, he may have a different side of that
Exactly.
story, but what I learned was, truthfully, one of the biggest things, there's always more than one way to get things done.
Yeah.
And you have to look at which way is going to be best for the situation that you're in.
Mm-hmm.
And we have been, over the years, rather hard-headed. I mean, our CPA, we had the same CPA for decades until he passed away. And he would point blank tell us, you should have shut this thing down back when XYZ happened. But you guys would just look at it different. You'd look at that concrete wall there where most people are trying to figure out how they're either going to go up it, around it, or under it, and you guys are just jackhammering through it.
Yeah.
And keep going.
Yeah.
And that is what I got from him.
Yep. Yep.
And that still sticks in me today, that if you got something that you're working on, it's the right way to get it done. Now you just have to figure out how to make that work.
Yeah. That's really good. I mean, and I think that's probably a common thread amongst a lot of successful business owners, right? I mean,
over the years, what I have found is if you're the people who are successful with business and keep it going, because there's a lot of people who they'll say, yeah, I'm in business. They've had a business and ran it for 3-4 years and then shut it down because one, they didn't like the pressures of being in business.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people go into business thinking, I've got all the flexibility in the world.
Yep.
You got no flexibility. You've got responsibilities.
Yes.
And that means you better be there and getting it done. So
yeah, there's no clocking in and clocking out, right?
No, it's a 24 hours a day thing. So what you find with most people who are successful is they're not looking at their clock.
Yep.
What time do I need to go home? They're going to miss the Little League game from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
And if somebody's not going to get paid, they're first in line.
Yeah.
And they will figure out how to cover their personal expenses another way.
Yep. I mean, and that is so true and so crucial. It's the same thing my dad said.
Yeah.
We're the last ones to get paid.
Absolutely.
And it's a hardship and it's a challenge that some people can handle it and some people can't. And statistically, out of the working class population, I think it's just 6% of the population owns a business. And so the other 94 don't even want to look for that pressure or those opportunities and the chaos.
Yeah, and in some of the other things I do, a lot of times people will think that they're in a position at their jobs that is comparable. There is nothing comparable to running and owning. There's a difference between running and owning that business.
Yeah, exactly.
And when you own it, that means you are taking responsibility for everything.
Yeah. The buck stops with you.
It does. And if you screw up, it's not just you that's affected, it's everybody else. And there's responsibilities for it, financially payroll.
Mm-hmm.
If a business doesn't make the payroll taxes, who's the IRS coming after? It ain't the business.
Yeah, it ain't the employees.
Nope, they're coming after the owner.
Yep, exactly.
And that's just one example. When you sign contracts for materials, for vehicles, for all this stuff that a lot of people will take for granted. That owner, if that business shuts down, is still on the hook for those things typically.
A lot of personal guarantees.
A lot of personal guarantees until you get to a certain size.
Yep.
But guess what? They're still going to try to come after you for
Yep.
it. And, vehicles is a good example. I interviewed a guy yesterday, in fact. And I had two of my managers in that interview. I was just kind of sitting in. And I had to leave to go take care of some stuff in my office after about 20, 30 minutes. And they came in afterwards and asked me, okay, well, what do you think? I said, he ain't the guy. Why not? I said, one, he likes to change jobs all the time. So if it gets a little hard, he just moves on to another job, which a lot of people do.
Yep.
When you're in business for yourself, that's not an option. The second thing, he was complaining about where he worked about things like didn't like the way they maintained a vehicle and did these different things. Well, I have always kind of a pet peeve of mine was and is still today how employees take care of a vehicle. They'll complain that they want new tires. And you go out there and you look, and the tire is not even half wore out yet. And I will sometimes, in my younger years, I don't do this anymore, but I would take them over to their own vehicle and say, why are you bitching about my vehicle's tires? Yours are so
Worn out
slick,
even
I'm
more.
seeing tread.
Yes. Yeah,
And
it's not theirs. It's not their money.
Right.
Yeah.
It's easy to say, let's go buy this when it's not your money.
Yep. Absolutely. And so when Kenny comes back, what did he serve? 4 years?
A little over 4.
A little over 4 years. He comes back, and does he want to get back into the business?
It wasn't even a question.
Okay. He comes right back. And what was that dynamic like? What was like you?
It rolled like he was never gone.
Okay.
At that point we had more people working for the company. That was probably when we did get up to the 36, 40 people. I mean, now we keep a couple hundred people busy a lot of times. But, and so he came in, and Kenny and I both started in the field as laborers.
Yep.
Went to be foremen.
Yep.
Superintendents. We can go out and have done estimates and stuff, but honestly, that was never either one of us full-time job going and doing estimates.
Yep.
So everything that we've always done has been field related, and the mentality of a field person versus somebody in sales is the field person is always looking to how to do that job right and make it better. Versus sales, who are typically looking to, let's get this deal closed and let's get it behind us and get the next one.
Yeah, exactly.
And so the whole company premise was built on looking at it from the field point of view that let's do every job as though it's our first job that's going to get us the next.
Yep. That's great. I was going to say, because I was going to ask you about the culture and how you drive that down, but obviously from the standpoint that you guys actually working in the field and doing it from the very beginning is going to carry over, and you're going to share that.
And it still does. And sometimes people get aggravated with us, but I will remind them, we don't make any money at 510 West Pasadena Freeway. We make money when all those guys in the field are out working.
Yep.
We spend money at 510 West Pasadena Freeway. Now, are they an integral part of what has to happen, and we've got to have them to get jobs in the whole 9 yards? Absolutely. But that's that mentality that the field is where we came from, and for us, that's the most important part. Where I think for the mistake a lot of businesses make is they try to build everything around that office work, and a lot of times that's a business that fails.
Yeah.
Because they forget that customer satisfaction part of it. And when you are out building the job and you're dealing one-on-one with the customer, and as the superintendents back in the day running the field, that's exactly what we were doing. You realize that, well, we went into air conditioning and plumbing.
Mm-hmm.
The mentality with air conditioning and plumbing is, if we got to go out and turn a wrench, a screwdriver, or anything, we're charging.
Mm-hmm.
We try not to run that business that way. Mm-hmm. And it is very difficult for even field technicians who come and work for us from other companies, because we'll tell them, yeah, go out, take care of that. That's a no charge. What? You can't do that. Well, yeah, we can.
Yeah.
That's how you get customers and keep the customers coming and grow the business. And so it's just a different mindset.
Yeah. And that's got to be a huge differentiator for you versus other companies. Not only the no charge, I think is great, but the culture of client satisfaction and doing what's right for them.
It is. And it gets the office building as part of the team, working with those guys in the field, because now they understand, yeah, they don't have work to do if we don't do our job in the office, but they also understand they don't have a paycheck unless those guys are out there picking up.
What's probably one of your biggest challenges you've faced or dealt with, especially in the early years?
I guess cost of insurance wouldn't be the right answer.
Oh, yeah. No.
Truthfully, probably one of the biggest pain in the butts to deal with
Mm-hmm.
is government regulations,
Yeah.
because they're not consistent.
Yep. And is that driven you to be involved in more political
A
legislation?
lot more than I ever thought I would be.
Yep.
I mean, I've been to the Texas Senates and
Yeah, in Austin.
multiple sessions
Mm-hmm.
trying to push different things through, because the consistency is horrible. There are some cities where you don't need a permit at all. There are other cities on a plumbing permit. There's one in San Antonio, as an example. They want the master plumber sitting on the job waiting for an inspector to come out to do nothing more than inspect the pipe.
So you got overkill there, and you
Oh
got,
my gosh. And
you got
under
willy-nilly in the other place.
Exactly.
And have you?
And that's not even getting into OSHA logs and OSHA regulations and IRS and all these other things that can drive you nuts.
You're just talking about a consistency amongst making sure that any foundation work is handled on at least a ground floor, a foundation, so to speak.
Got to start it on a solid foundation.
That's right. That's right. I hear that a lot. I hear a lot from a lot of business owners that that they have to be involved in politics. They have to be involved in legislation because of certain things that just don't. Certain things can pass that can hurt you, or certain things that don't get passed that are needed.
Well, and it's a funny thing. That same mentality that you were talking about a minute ago, 6% of the population want to be business owners. And look at all the people who don't want to be involved in the politics and stuff, because they say, there's nothing I can do about it anyway, so
Nope.
I'll just leave it alone. Well, that's the same mentality as far as running a business. I don't want to have to deal with the headaches of that.
Yeah, well, and a lot of the people that are making those decisions are non-business owners, some of them are. You go into legislation, some will have owned their own business, but again, I bet you the ratio is the same.
Yeah.
If you go to legislators, there's probably 6% that own a business and 94% don't, and those are the ones that are going to make decisions based on what regulates your industry,
Yep.
your company.
Yeah. And I mean, let's be real. There's a lot of legislators who shouldn't be there.
Yep.
It was never meant to be a lifelong career like a lot of them have made it nowadays. That's getting into other
Yeah.
stuff, but if especially as a business grows and stuff, if you are not involved in a couple items. One is helping to regulate what's happening, and that's through legislation. Two, being involved in your community and giving back.
Yep.
Then you're not being a legitimate business.
Yeah. That's so good. As you guys are now running the business, at what point does your dad start phasing out, and how do you guys start figuring out the chain of command?
Well, about the same thing is happening to me with my sons as it did to my dad. They just kind of start taking over things.
Yep.
and getting it done
Yep.
without you having to tell them.
Yep.
And when you're running a family business that way, that's how you know they're getting ready for
The transition.
the transition. Are there still things I do that they're not aware of? Absolutely. I was on a phone call with my oldest son, Johan, earlier this week, and we were answering some questions on marketing. Well, I do all our marketing still. And he starts trying to answer them and tells the guy, well, we'll have to get back to you. I said, no, we don't. I know the answers to these questions. And so I said, Johan, if you'll be quiet long enough, I'll take care of answering these questions. And he was shocked that I could throw all that straight off the top of my head. But that's what I do day in, day out to help the business move along now, because it's no longer I'm going out and doing the work. Now I've got to make sure I'm bringing enough calls in to keep everybody else busy going out to do things.
Yeah, and so at some point, when you're running the company, you're doing primarily foundation work.
Yes.
What happened along the way that made you realize you needed to diversify, or how did you come to that decision? Because you mentioned earlier, we've got HVAC, we've got plumbing. How old are those divisions in the company?
Well, you have to evolve when you own a business, and as it grows, things change. As an example, at some point, you have to accept you can't do everything if you're going to make the business grow. If you want to keep it a really small mom and pop shop, you can do everything.
Yep.
But as it grows, you got to start being dependent on other people doing things, and so you hire people who can do it better than you can, and let them handle those things. As far as the I forgot what the other part was that you were...
Well, I remember you had made a comment to me years ago, and I thought it was very pivotal in your business.
Why the new divisions?
Yeah,
Yes.
because and honestly, it goes back to what you'd already brought up, which is the wet and dry.
Exactly, very critical, because the foundation repair industry, for instance, is very seasonal.
Yep.
And we are typically, in the summer months, is our slow season.
Yep.
Now, a lot of people think it should be just the opposite, but what happens is, in the winter months, it's usually wet. The soils swell and get to their best. In the summer months is when it'll start drying out. So fall and winter is typically our busy season for foundation repair.
Everybody's reacting to the summer
Exactly.
conditions.
And they wait until after summer because they go on vacation during the summer and don't want to deal with it.
Isn't that something? It's so amazing when you know clearly. My parents owned a donut shop. My dad's like, the first 2 weeks of the year are never good.
No.
People are on a diet.
Yeah.
Give them 2 weeks and they'll be back.
They'll pick up the donuts on the way to the gym
Absolutely.
instead of on the way back.
Exactly.
But the reason we got into plumbing, for instance,
Yeah.
a lot of foundation problems were caused by plumbing leaks, in particular sewer line leaks. The old cast iron pipes would crack and start leaking, and that would cause an imbalance in the soil moisture. If you could keep the soil dry all the time, you wouldn't have movement. If you can keep it moist all the time, you wouldn't have movement. But when you have a dry area and a wet area, you're going to have movement. And we got where we were having to dig tunnels to do plumbing repairs all the time, and waiting on plumbers 2 and 3 weeks to come out and do the plumbing work. And I finally told one of the plumbing companies we used all the time, I said, if you can't start getting to us faster than 2 or 3 weeks, we're going to have to start our own plumbing company. And he said, you can't do that. You got to have a license. And I said, great. I hired one of his master plumbers who had the license and
Boom.
opened up a plumbing company.
Yep.
And then we went down the road for probably another 10 years after that. And I needed something to balance out that summer and winter months.
Mm-hmm.
So I started looking, okay, what is the opposite? Well, air conditioning.
Yep.
In the summer months, when we're slow, that's when air conditioning is booming.
Yep.
So I hired somebody who has a air conditioning license, and we started an air conditioning company. And so in the winter months when we're real busy in the foundation, air conditioning's a little slow. And the summer months, air conditioning is real busy, and it helps balance your cash flow out. Because like it or not, cash is king, and you got to have that cash flow to cover those vehicle expenses, the payments on properties, and all this stuff that is constantly reoccurring. And nowadays, there's a lot more reoccurring bills than there ever was, because
Yeah.
it used to be you had somebody who would answer the phone and book appointments and things like that. And now you've got programs that you have to use. Before I walked in here, I was on a call for AI to actually start booking the appointments and stuff. And I've looked at it multiple times, but this one was just off the top.
Yeah.
But it's $3,500 a month.
Yep.
Our scheduling and tracking of the jobs and all that stuff is $15,000 a month.
Mm-hmm.
These bills go on whether you're working or not. So
Yeah.
you got to have constant cash flow to balance it.
And it seems like the HVAC and the plumbing offsets like the rental homes did back in
Yes.
the day. And so, but you know, and
Now who has time to deal with the rental home? We literally don't have time to do that part of it anymore.
Yeah. Well, and so then you have property management companies that manage it. But it's like, but tell me about going into transitioning into or getting into these new industries, because you talk about it like it was nothing, but was that an easy transition to get into plumbing, get into HVAC, or was there a?
Well, it's only been 30 years, so I'll let you know when it becomes easy.
Yeah, exactly. That's my point. Yeah, I mean, because it's like everybody. A lot of people that I talk to, when they see a business owner, such as yourself or whomever, and they automatically assume,
Man,
you
you got it made. You got money coming
You're
in
doing
hand over
great.
fist. You take off when you want.
Yeah. But getting into HVAC, as you're talking about it, I'm sitting there thinking that's got to be the most competitive market
It is.
that there is. What was that like? In terms of, like you said, all of a sudden you got to cash flow this thing.
Yes.
You got to buy a whole bunch of new inventory and train and get employees.
And people and vans and the whole 9 yards. And honestly, it's one of those things that you would think it's strictly based on pricing,
Mm-hmm.
and to some degree it is. But what a lot is lacking in that industry was service.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was talking about, they think they go out and they touch that screwdriver. By gosh, I got to charge for that.
Mm-hmm.
And so to change, years ago, Due West changed the foundation repair industry.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be all drilled piers.
Mm-hmm.
We brought in the piling, developed the installation process, and now the majority of it here in Texas is pressed piles.
Mm-hmm.
In air conditioning, it has always been, you touch a screwdriver, by gosh, you're charging for it.
Mm-hmm.
And you're starting to see that's changing a little bit as well, because there's more and more companies and people with the same mindset we have, that it's customer service more so than it is just a commodity.
Yeah.
And so that is one of the hardest things to do. And you'll find that there's a difference, I think, between that in that 6% of business owners,
Yep.
there's a small minority of them that are true entrepreneurs
Yeah.
who are changing industries and making differences.
Yep.
And that's where I have fun.
Yep. Yep. Well, and how much did it help you, and how much was it a consideration of the fact that you have the Due West name,
Right.
you've been in business for a lot of years, and you already have been in some people's homes already doing foundation work.
You know, out of all the business decisions I've made over the years,
Mm-hmm.
the naming of the air conditioning and the plumbing company are the biggest mistakes I ever made.
Really? And how so?
I named them Due West,
and you should have named
and I
some-
should have named them something different.
Really?
And here's why. We were so branded as Due West Foundation Repair. The plumbing division has been around since '93.
Really?
And people still see that logo and, oh, that's the foundation guy.
And I would have thought, yeah.
And our plumbing and air conditioning company is probably bigger than 90% of them out there,
Mm-hmm.
because most plumbing and most air conditioning companies are just a mom and pop shop.
Mm-hmm.
You got the owner who's running one van, his wife is taking care of the books, and maybe one other guy running a second van, or maybe
Yeah.
the son is running
Yeah.
a second van, and that's the size of most of them. But that's been a very hard hurdle to get over, and I'm still jackhammering on that wall. I haven't
Yeah.
gotten through that one yet.
Yeah. I really thought it would have been the difference. Or the reason you would have is.
So did I.
Yeah, that's interesting. What a learning experience, right?
Yeah.
And what does it take to overcome that? Has it just been a bombardment of marketing and advertising and?
I have really started expanding the marketing on that. At one point, I started trying to do it where I would list all three things together.
Mm-hmm.
That bombed.
Okay.
That did not work. So now I've started marketing them as separate, and that's actually starting to pick up and work. But, you know, marketing is one of those things that people think you turn it on and turn it off. No, you have to do branding, and that's where we had branded Due West Foundation Repair so hard. Now that we're trying to brand these others, it's taken some effort. But what I have found is I'm going outside into different avenues with the branding of the air conditioning, and that's now starting to work. As an example, I never did sports stuff with foundation repair. People aren't thinking of foundation repair
when they're watching their kids.
when they're
play
watching the Little League game or the NFL.
Yeah.
It didn't matter. With the air conditioning brand, we got Dyke and Field now.
Mm-hmm. It's a good point. Yeah, that's
And
air conditioning.
So I said, when I saw that, I had a phone call from people we involved in that, and whether we wanted to market. And I said, you know what? That's a switch. It's something new. I'm going to try it. And so I started putting ads on during the Astros games and put ads in the program. It's a different audience than we had been going after with foundation repair, and it's starting to hook.
Has being involved in the media helped you as far as doing radio and things like that? How has that come back and helped you do the business? Because it sounds like you do that because you like it, even though you thought you wouldn't like it. Or how does that play into the?
Well, I'll tell you a story how that has helped a lot, because Tom Tynan does a home improvement show.
Yep.
We have sponsored his show since almost the beginning.
Oh.
And since he started it. But he switched stations one time.
Mm-hmm.
And when he did that, we took a beating on our calls
Why is that?
because people were loyal to him, and he wasn't there anymore. And so the draw that we were getting off of him doing his show was gone,
Okay.
because he went to a smaller station and had to rebuild his audience there.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times on-air personalities think Well, my audience is just going to follow me. No, they don't.
Wow.
You have to rebuild that audience.
They're locked in with that station, I guess.
Ask Howard Stearns how that went when he made that jump.
Yeah, that's true.
He took a beating on that really isn't out in the public much, but he came out smelling like a rose simply because he was paid to do it.
Yeah.
But your sponsor side, they take a beating on it, and so I swore that wasn't going to happen again. And once I started doing a home improvement show and getting into the other stuff, absolutely I learned. And the THI Productions, the company that does the radio show, is a full marketing firm as well. We've got 28 companies that we place all their ads, do their videos, do all the different things for. So when I sit down and passing livestock show and rodeo, appreciate you getting pulled in with me on that.
Absolutely. I enjoy it too. Thank you.
But a good example is when I sit down with the different stations for marketing that, I have an insight.
You know how the watch is made.
And don't.
Yeah, don't try to give you your shenanigans.
Exactly. That sounds great, but you see that number there? The one that you just glossed over? That's a problem.
If your dad, for whatever reason, didn't have the business, because I'm fairly certain that if I asked you this question, that if your dad didn't start his own business or anything, would you be in business for yourself?
Without question.
Yep.
I was doing remodeling and stuff, not just for my parents, but for others early on. That was always my intention to go into being in business for myself.
And you said earlier on, then you'd be a contractor no matter what. So you think you'd have your own construction?
There was two industries that I was going to do.
Yep.
And my favorite one was going to be being a contractor.
Like a general contractor?
Yep.
Yep.
And quite frankly, if I wasn't a contractor, I would have opened a restaurant.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What kind of restaurant?
And you got a lot of contractors who, for some reason, cater towards opening restaurants.
Yeah.
But there was two concepts. Mom's from Germany, so I always liked the concept of a German restaurant.
Yep.
Or a steakhouse.
Okay.
And the concept I always had in my head was a high-end steakhouse with German food.
Yeah.
Where you could, and the funny thing is, if you go over to Germany now, that's what they're doing.
They're doing high-end steakhouses?
They have made the crossover. You know, when I was young, they didn't do barbecues and steaks and things like that. Their cuts of meat were different. And now they're into backyard barbecuing and steaks and things like that. They have changed, and I always thought that would be a great restaurant.
That's awesome. So what does tomorrow
God,
hold?
I'm glad I didn't go into that.
I know. That is a cutthroat. What does tomorrow look like for the companies? How is the future looking in terms of industry and opportunities and all that kind of stuff? Where are you taking the company?
Well, we've been having some really good, steady growth over the last 3 to 5 years. Mm-hmm. We went through a rough patch in the mid-teen years. Mm-hmm. But after COVID, and this goes back to that entrepreneur and owner type mentality. When I was driving into work one morning, they were making the announcements that everything is shutting down. Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo got shut down.
Yeah, I thought that would be impossible to do.
Who would have guessed that? When I first saw that on the news, I said, "Oh, that's got to be a joke. There's no way in heck."
That'll last for a day.
Yeah, to give them an hour to get everything out was just unbelievable. But then I'm driving into work, and they're saying that the federal government is stepping in. All businesses have to shut down. And I got on the phone with my team, and I said, I don't give a darn what you're hearing on the radio. Get your butt into work. We're going to work.
Yeah.
We are not shutting down. Fortunately, a few days later, they started making a list of
essential workers.
Essential in plumbing, air conditioning, and all that fell in that. Foundation repair was never mentioned. I just made the assumption it was essential and
Yeah.
kept going.
And nobody questioned it, I'm sure.
You know, there was a little bit of a hiccup. The people making some of the products we use shut down.
Oh, good point. Yeah. So then you can.
So I had to make arrangements to get supplies and stuff. And that became an issue. But yeah, it's never been a question what I was going to do. It's just a matter of how you're going to do it.
If you had to share a message with anybody thinking about or wanting to start their own business, regardless of what it is, and what would it be? What would you tell somebody, an aspiring business owner? You know, what would be your message to them?
Be prepared that it's not going to be what you think. Despite what you hear, you will work longer hours. Make sure that you're somebody who doesn't need a lot of sleep, because you do not sleep at night. I've gone through years where my normal night sleep was 4 hours, because the rest of the time you're thinking about how you're going to handle it tomorrow.
Really?
The next thing I would tell them is budget. Don't think you can do it off the cuff. No matter what size it is, put your budget together. Now, do I say you got to stick with that budget? In fact, I think I was on a budget meeting with you yesterday, and what was the comment I made? That budget is a nice guide.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's exactly what it is. If you try to stick hardcore to a budget, you will fail on a small business.
Yep.
But in the long run, is it worth it? Absolutely.
Yep.
It's a matter of what you're going to give up, though. Last year was the first year that I really started taking vacations.
Yeah.
I have gone as much as 10 years without going anywhere. And when my kids were little, a funny thing is they gave me a terrible time when we went to Disney, because I carried a computer with me.
Yeah, you're trying to keep up with what's going on.
I had to keep up. If I had to do something, I had to be ready. And I mentioned Johan. Him and his family, we've gone to Disney a couple of times, and he carries a computer with him. Not just the phone, but a full computer.
Oh,
and I said, how's that working for you, Johan?
Yeah, I remember.
Yep.
And that's good. I think that's really good advice, because because it's the thing that nobody thinks about getting into business. And like you said, they think they got flexibility. They really have responsibility.
Yes.
And there's no clocking in and clocking out. It is, you're on clock all the time. And I think that's sound advice. And you've seen it from growing up with your mom and dad to all the way to now. And obviously you're carrying that on with your kids.
And the other thing I would tell you is, just because people tell you, you hit this hard spot, you need to shut it down.
Yeah.
Don't necessarily listen.
Yep.
Be prepared, feed it if you have to keep it going. That's how you make it bigger.
That's awesome. Well, thank you, Jim. I appreciate you
My pleasure.
coming out and sitting down and sharing with everybody some wisdom for being an owner, and for many people that are seriously considering it or starting it off and just looking for input and advice to kind of get them through that wall. Jackhammer through
Get a
that
bigger
wall.
jackhammer.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate you joining in and listening to Jim, and we'll see you on the next podcast.